Morning, everybody, and welcome to CEO Chat. My name is, last time I checked, Al Cini.
And I'm Joe Osamendi.
Nice to see you.
A pleasure as usual.
We have a great guest.
Yes, we do.
We always have terrific guests, but this one is extra special.
Okay.
He's a real madman, Joe, so be careful. Okay. Be afraid. Tom McManimon is the
Nice to see you, Tom.
Nice to see you
CEO
guys. Thanks for
founder.
having me.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, what a pleasure. You're the CEO and founder of Stimulus Brand Communications, and we've had a chance to talk now, and it's so much more than just a logo. What really struck me in our first conversation was that you mentioned you had a process. You really want to get to know the personality of the brand that you're going to represent, and there's a way you have of exploring that with a client. So maybe you could describe how you do that.
Love to. A lot of people naturally, since they're not living in the world of creating it, they think I just need a logo, or I have the urgency need of a website, or the urgent need for a brochure. And we help them take a step back first and want to get to know sort of the DNA of their company. What is the culture of your company? What is your set of values as a company? I ask people, if you could describe for me your brand without thinking of your logo or showing me your logo. Express your brand to me. And that gets them a step closer to understanding what makes them tick, what makes them different. And it helps us understand sort of the tonal direction to take with graphics. So there are reasons why certain colors are chosen for the look or identity of a company. There are reasons why typography is chosen for a certain look or style. There's reasons why there's this clever little tagline that goes with the logo. That's all very strategic for a reason. It's not as arbitrary as some people might think it is.
Well, the good thing about that, just in the way you're describing it, is you take a deep dive into the pool. You don't wade in from the shallow end. You go right for the heart and soul of the company that you're going to represent. And you brought some pictures of some results you've gotten with that approach. Maybe we could cue those up, and as they appear on the screen, you could talk us through them. Because I know you get a much, when you have that kind of a process driving the creativity, you get a much better creative result. So you guys ready with pictures?
Here we go.
This is one print ad among an entire campaign that we did for a company that transitioned a sell and service Xerox equipment. They're called Stewart Xerox, and they're nearby in this area. And this was a campaign that we did where they wanted to promote the color quality of their printers. So this one, we pictured a chameleon in the image. And there's a whole series of those, a peacock, an impressionist painting. So it was all about the quality of Xerox, the excellence of that brand, and proof is in the pudding. So, you know, we wanted to show printed samples of the work.
That's great. Next we got peacock.
That's the second one in the series with the peacock.
No, that makes sense. I mean, what you're really doing is selling copying services and copiers. You really want people to know what kind of colors you can produce with equipment.
Yeah, and in some instances, like in the medical field, color can be critical in the way they're reading an image. In creative fields, it's critical to make a difference to winning a piece of business. Everything is rich color now. So to help people understand the quality of what Xerox does, right? This is the homepage of our website. The owl, the close-up on an owl, is one of several images that sort of slide across on the homepage to connect thoughts about branding. And then we just have a real brief sort of attitude statement below it, and then links to blogs, links to news of the firm.
Great. You know, what's interesting, I just want to stop at that picture for a second. You applied your process to your own company to make that
absolutely.
image.
If we do it for clients, we better do it for ourselves.
You should, yeah, that's great. I think that's a great example of it. Okay, next picture.
This was part of a series campaign that we did for New Jersey Travel and Tourism. And they've had a tendency over the years to want to do advertising that shows everything in the kitchen sink in every ad and every commercial. This is everything you can get from your experience in Notre Dame. And we want, in New Jersey. And we wanted to have them take a step back and let a campaign build. And so the theme behind this was there's no time like New Jersey. And the ads feature a time, I believe that says 6:15 p.m. So it's the sunsetting time of the day where these two girlfriends spent the whole day together. And it's real brief copy. We did another one, I think it's the next one in the series.
Picture?
No, so we'll come to that in a moment.
Okay.
We
This
did
one we
another
didn't talk about
one
yet. This-
in the tourism campaign
Uh-huh.
of grandpop and granddaughter fishing in Round Valley.
Right.
Oh,
We did a
okay.
couple having dinner in the restaurant district in Newark.
Okay.
So we kind of peppered all around all the great places you could go in Atlantic City, if you will, to all the experiences you can have at different times.
Okay.
And there's no time like your experience in New Jersey.
What you're doing is telling a story.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
and that's,
so you're drawing people in emotionally.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
This is a print version, I guess.
That's the second page in our website. So I mentioned there's a gallery of images, and that phrase says branding connects.
Right.
Each one says branding does a certain thing.
Great.
The first one was branding opens eyes, and that was
Right.
with the owl. So there's a series of those. So if anyone spends any time on our homepage, they're experiencing a different sense of what is branding.
Right, exactly.
Okay, what does it mean to you?
Right. That's, but getting back into the conversation about what you do, because I really want to make a connection between your particular skill set and the people who watch our program. People who watch our program are CEOs. They've got companies, they might be having a little difficulty getting traction in a market that's matured over the last few years. This frequently happens to companies, I don't have to tell you that, where they kind of lose track of the buyer in a way, because they've been doing the same things over and over again, but the buyers have changed. So branding and what you do is something mature companies can use to refresh their offerings, or new companies can use it to establish a foothold more quickly. And you know, when I look at the picture of the owl that you use to describe you, I see expertise, I see mastery, I see deep knowledge, and those things are all communicated by that image. And I'm sure there's a science behind defining all that.
Well, you want to open eyes. So the owl was all about, we're helping you open eyes to help people think differently and make you be top of mind to them, okay? It's all about knowing your customer, and people too easily walk away from that because they're spending every waking moment about their product, their service, their company, their people, their staff. They're not thinking about how to be relevant in their marketing messaging to the customer who cares to begin with. So it's really not about you, it's about your customer and your prospect, and they have to continually revisit that. And if you don't do that, I got news for you, your competition takes over market share,
Right.
or you become stale. And so it's not just something they can use. Every company needs to pay attention to it, or you will start to fall off.
You'll start to fall off. You'll see a flattening in sales, or a actual. You might even pull back.
And
in
it's
the market.
funny, the people used to think sales and marketing were best friends, and other people would say, "Oh no, they're at odds with each other all the time," because there's an urgency in sales. You got to make my numbers this week. I got to make my numbers this month, and you can work really, really hard. A lot of companies work with all these sophisticated systems to build sales,
Right.
and you might get a new customer this month and make a few sales, and that's fine. But then you got to go all over again and do it again.
Right.
Whereas if you properly brand your company, you're going to capture the minds, hearts, souls, and loyalty of customers forever.
Yeah, that's important. And
It's
okay,
big. It's really big.
and the reason why he knows what he's doing, Joe, is because he isn't actually a madman. I mean, I wasn't just saying you're in the advertising business. You worked in New York for some pretty big logos. Maybe you can talk a
Big
little bit about
companies,
your background.
Well, my first ad agency, I mentioned to you in an earlier conversation, I started in the field of architecture.
Right.
And I decided I was more drawn to the arts, and I was a fine artist. I had no intentions of being in advertising, but I got a chance to work in a big agency.
Right.
And I loved it. They loved, my willingness to help in any way I could, and it stuck. So there I was in advertising. And I was an art director. But my first boss was a typographer. That job doesn't even exist anymore because the computer does it all for you. But I fell in love with the field. And yet, you start to, over time, your weaknesses become your strengths. So I became a better writer and a conceptual writer than, I would say, an art director.
Okay.
I learned about film. I learned about communications as a broad set, not just a specific skill. And that served me well in the agencies that I worked in. I was given an opportunity to launch a design firm from ground zero, and we grew it in 3 years to $2 million. And then it was absorbed into the agency that I was a part of.
Okay.
I became that agency's executive creative director, and my focus was now more about building talent around me. And we grew that agency from about, at the time, 48 million to 180 million
Wow.
in annual billings. So with that comes a constant change in culture, level of talent,
Right.
level of clientele that you win and serve.
Sure.
And it brought me to a place of transition in my business.
And that transition was 18 years ago. So
Yes.
it's not like you just popped out of the woodwork and started doing this. You've been Stimulus brand communication for almost 20 years now, isn't that right?
Yes.
That's a long time. I mean, that's
Yeah.
quite a track record.
It's my passion. I love it. I really do. It's not without challenges.
Right.
A lot of clients can be really challenging. I went through some medical crisis about 8 years ago, and when I came out of that, I fired 2 clients.
You did?
I had to talk to my wife about that, of course, but
sure.
I fired 2 clients because they were just negative, high maintenance, woe is me, life is dark
Right.
kind of people. And I just couldn't do that, you know,
Right.
especially when I'm running a sole operation with a lot of freelance talent.
Right.
And so the advantage of that is we're nimble, we're fast, it's virtual. The people that my client get to see and work with are experienced, talented people. They don't need to have their hand held.
Right.
Right.
And we get it done fast.
Good.
We're fast.
Well,
One of the things I think is very interesting that you said is that a lot of companies might think a logo is so important, but in your business, you look at a logo and a slogan and integrate both of them so it really tells a story.
Yes.
and it's more than that. I mean, it could be the design of the lobby of the building. It could be.
And we've done that. We've done interior design for banks.
Yeah, because that whole experience of going to the bank has to be consonant with whatever they see in a printout.
It's all about the promise of an experience.
Right.
And the
From the
moment
beginning.
something breaks down, you lose trust.
Yeah.
And a brand is all about building trust
Right.
so that when there's a considered purchase to be had, you're top of mind.
Yeah, that's very
And
important.
top of mind for the right reasons. A lot of people will spend a lot of time and money and energy getting in front of people and networking and all that. And you want to be top of mind, but you want to also be top of mind for the right reasons.
You have to be.
Or you're hurting yourself more than helping yourself.
Right. You really want to deliver what it is you say you deliver,
Yeah.
and you want people to get that experience all the way
And the
through.
same holds true with any company at any kind of level.
So-
And any level.
So people watching our program who might be an established company feel like they need to have their eyes open, maybe take a fresh look at a market that may have evolved away from you, you'd be a great guy to call. Sounds
I
like
love
you'd be-
doing it. And you know, it doesn't always mean that we then have to be engaged as their agency and to execute all the work. Of course, we want to do that. It's just sort of like showing them how to do things and then they pull the rug out from under you. You want to create the work.
Right.
But it doesn't always work out that way. So we do that consultative role. You know, we'll come in and help do a SWOT review and strategic direction and help the key decision makers get on the same page from a branding and marketing perspective. It's all to build your business. It's not about making you look sexier. You know, if we do our job well, it does that.
Yeah, you will get that.
It does wake people up, but it's all geared to intelligently build your bottom line.
So a company that's thinking about introducing a new product next year, they're in the final design stages, now would be a good time for them to call you to talk about
Perfect
branding
time.
for that product.
Perfect time.
Because
Even
it-
if we weren't involved in the early development, that's okay. I mean, we love to be involved in the very brand beginning development. But even if we're not, it serves as a good checkpoint. You know, before they spend tons of money out in the marketplace.
Good. Now, first call to you is no charge?
No charge.
Okay,
I
good.
give it away. I mean, the way that you win relationships or win business and build relationships is really to give it away.
You really do. I mean, they have to feel like, and then people, when they feel comfortable with you, then they
Yeah, I
sort
mean,
of
at a
pursue
certain
that
point, I know when to
relationship.
engage or when to make someone engage.
Right. People pretty much understand that you're in it to make some money, and they know that.
Absolutely.
They don't want to feel like you're in it to victimize them. So,
Yeah, and if you project yourselves as a rookie or just someone who's thinking about the small things,
right.
you're not going to get the kind of pay that you deserve. And they regard you that way. You're just a vendor.
Yeah.
But if you, regard yourself as a branding extension of that company, it's a whole different level of trust and respect.
Perfect.
We need to take a break right now.
Well,
be
then,
right back, and,
we're taking a break already?
yes, we are.
Look, this conversation's going
I know,
so
it's
quickly.
great. Just hold that thought now. We'll be
Okay.
right back.
We'll be right back to learn more about Tom McManimon and his really creative process behind
Right.
branding after these messages and CEO chat.
4800. As a licensed insurance agent, I'll assist you in making an informed and confident decision on a Medicare plan that meets your needs, lifestyle, and budget. Call me today for a free, no obligation Medicare benefits consultation. 856-226-4800.
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to create a better visitor experience.
Improve our workflow.
Attract new customers. That's when Fast Signs recommended Fleet Graphics.
Yeah, now business is rolling in. Get started at fastsigns.com.
What do I want to be when I grow up? Maybe a musician? A veterinarian? Maybe an equestrian? A mommy? Well, why not be all these things and more? Consider joining me, Dr. V, with friends and colleagues as we explore a wide range of topics together. V is for variety, here on RVN TV.
There you go, Richard. Oh! Is that too hard for you?
No. Is it too hard for you?
Woo! We're playing catch now. Oh, shit.
Why should you care?
Welcome back, everybody, to CEO Chat. This guy's name is Joe Asamendi.
And that's Alcini. Good to see you again, Al. Pleasure.
But our guest is Tom McManimon. And before the break, if you missed it, rewind and go back, because this man has so much to offer in the field of brand. I hate to use that phrase, brand positioning, because we hear it all the time, and people get numb to something they hear over and over again. But what really excites me about the way you approach your work is that you do it the way a private detective would do it. I mean, we were talking about that. Right. You go for the deep dive by asking the really important question that gets to the heart of what somebody is trying to communicate to an audience. So maybe you could describe that. How long does it take to get to something somebody can use when you approach it that way?
It depends on how quickly they want to turn around. Okay. We can address it right away. I want to meet with key decision makers. It could be just the CEO. It could be 3 or 4 or 5 people. We did once with Prudential Mortgage Capital, or one of our big clients in Chicago. When we won the business, I said, can I speak to 20 of your brokers around the country? And they were shocked at that question.
Why would you want to do that?
And then they come from different areas and they have different needs. And I wanted their perspective on how can marketing serve you? And what have they done in the past that you could care less about, that's not working for you anymore? Right. So it's informed decision making.
Based on that. What if what they told you ended up in the final product?
Oh, 100%. Really? I'll tell you why. You know, Prudential, big major international brand, they had come out with a brand new brand campaign around the theme, Bring Your Challenges.
Right, okay.
And they aired it in a commercial on the Super Bowl. And this mortgage capital financing business unit said, we need your help because our parent company is telling us that's our theme for everything. That doesn't work for us in mortgage financing. We don't want all your crazy challenges. So we need you to come up with how we can work in tandem with our parent campaign. And this was a company full of talent that they never left. They were lifers. They have more years of experience. They've seen every market turn, up and down, all the turns and twists of the market. So what their MO was, no matter what, we're going to get it to the settlement table. We get it. Whatever challenge you throw at us, we understand. We've been through that before, okay? And, but we're going to get to the settlement table too. So the tagline really meant that we gave them was, we get it, period, done, period. So you read it, your eyes read it real quickly, we get it done.
We know what that is.
But
we know what that means.
Too. No issue is going to fluster us.
So they could trust us, we'll take care of it.
Exactly.
And that was the communication.
And it was the truth of the brand. I've given talks about the truth in branding, and it was the truth of the brand. And then we designed all their marketing and their website and their sales materials to look like sister or brother to the corporate campaign. So corporate was thrilled with it. They said, oh my God, this agency should have done our corporate campaign. And I said, I'll remember that.
Oh,
I'll give
remember
you
that.
guys a
That's
call,
right. Next time you do a corporate
But that's an
campaign.
example how getting to the truth of what their experience was with their prospects delivered a different message, but still worked for Prudential.
And in that case, you got to the truth by being a private investigator and asking
Talk
the
to
brokers.
the real people on the road.
The
who
people on the
need-
road who,
yeah.
and that really is the way you bridge marketing and sales, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people don't understand. They all think these is, you mentioned before the program that often they're seen as adversarial roles, but they really aren't. The truth is the sales reps know what's happening out there.
Yeah.
The marketing people know what the heart and soul is of the product they're trying to represent or service.
If you think of marketing in terms of some of the devices of postcards and direct mail and some of the digital material today, I can understand why salespeople who are truly focused on sales don't support it because they're, they want immediate ROI.
Right.
And branding doesn't give you immediate ROI.
It's a long period of
But
time.
it's big picture thinking.
But that big picture thinking leads to long-term market
Like
share.
I said,
Right.
if you're all about sales, you
Right.
can bump your numbers this month. But if you properly brand your business to the truth of the experience of your company, you will win, like I said, the minds, hearts, souls, and loyalty of customers.
And that keeps them coming back,
Yes.
which is also very important.
Yes.
Okay, there are other aspects of Tom McManimon that I definitely want to explore, and I guess I kind of want to wrap this the whole branding part of it up with a bow. People out there who are maybe feeling like they're having difficulty or traction problems in selling things or marketing things, or I mean, if they just feel as though they need to have a fresh look at what they're doing, you sound like the perfect guy to call. I just want to make sure they
love
hear
that. That's an open invitation. I'd be happy to speak with people just in a telephone call.
And a little later in the program, you get to talk on the camera and tell
excellent.
everybody how to phone you and how to reach you. But you're also, I know we talked about this too, a motivational speaker. And I know you've had some personal experiences that's based on and some health issues that you've had to face. Maybe you can talk about your journey in speaking.
I always thought, who am I to tell people how to think or how to feel or what creative to choose, what's best? I'm always a work in progress. And yet there I was in the leadership position of an agency, and I learned how to truly be a creative director. Okay? So I started to come to terms with maybe I do have experience to share with people. I've presented to win in front of boards often through the years, but speaking to an audience where you're the guy on stage is different than speaking on the same level at a boardroom.
Right.
It's a whole different dynamic of public speaking, and especially motivational speaking. Then I had some experiences, and I felt like, man, I have to get this out. A couple of which were, I had a very, very serious critical medical problem happen to me overnight. It really set me back. And coming out of that, I decided I have less time or energy for negative, woe is me, the world is dark kind of people.
That was when you fired those clients.
And I
who
fired
were-
2 clients right away. And I wanted to focus a little bit back on me. So I've been a musician. I went back to playing the drums in a classic rock band. I decided I had a story in me to write a book, and I wrote a book about personal branding. And then I immediately went to another book that was about corporate branding and calling it the position player. And it opens up the whole story around a football team and a football player. When I started playing in high school, that's when I really kind of got the notion, what is positioning and its value? I met a guy on a train ride. I was interviewing for my first job in New York. And I happened to just sit with a guy who was about to deliver a presentation to 7-Up with a campaign around the idea, the Uncola.
Right, okay, right, yeah.
And I was wowed by that, and that sold me on advertising.
Right,
And so, that medical crisis that I saw myself through, very fortunate to be here. And I share a story about that. And you can hear a pin drop in the room.
Oh, yeah.
And I build it around the concept of gratitude. I gave it a talk to a very large group the day before Thanksgiving, and I'd send everybody on their way to go hug their wife and their children and stuff, I had another one where my oldest son of 3 was trapped in very, very dark world of drugs and alcohol for a long time. And I delivered a talk around the concept of going to the well. Your kids are going to push your buttons, sometimes more than someone else's. And he really, really did. But you can't stop loving your child. You can learn how to not be the enabler, but you can't stop loving your child. And if you love them, you go to the well for them 100,000 times.
So you can create space in a situation like that
Yeah.
without having to completely detach.
He had to realize when he hit bottom and,
Right.
and fix himself.
Right.
But we were still there for him. And I'm happy to say he's 11 years clean and sober. He has a
great.
beautiful wife, a great
Good.
job, and a son.
Good, and you have a
So-
grandson, that's great.
And it's one of my
Congratulations.
greatest accomplishments,
Terrific.
more so than my business.
Good.
So I share that story.
Good.
And then also, the story we mentioned earlier about how I even got started owning Stimulus Brand. I was happy to be in the big agency life and have someone else write me a check and just focus on creative. And the whole world changed for me in a space of 2 days. Our company was sold, and it was literally consummated the day before 9/11. So now we're all worried as a management team who
Right.
grew this business to make
Right.
it sellable.
Right, exactly.
Are we going to survive this? Are we going to even have a job? Then the next morning, the whole globe knows what happened in New York and Washington and outside of
Right,
there
right.
with 9/11. And it shook me. It really, really
Well,
shook
this very,
me.
very big
Right,
problem you saw on 910, now all of a sudden was put in a whole new light
Yeah.
with this much larger issue of 911.
Right.
And I think
Yeah,
that,
I mean, I didn't work full time in the World Trade Center, but I was there often. I was there the day before. My client was the Port Authority of New York, so I had a space to go work in whenever I was there, and I looked out on Lady Liberty and people I knew, people I worked with, and suddenly, that just came crashing
Changes
down.
everything.
Right.
I still have my tag from the day before, and I knew people, and it really, really shook me. I mean,
that's-
and then lo and behold, within a week or two later, I lost my job. too.
Right.
So here I was an equity owner, and the firm was sold, and I was out of a job.
and that
Right, well,
was 18 years ago, so it's not,
18 years
do the
ago.
math.
Everybody said, Tom, you know everybody knows you, you're
Yeah.
great at getting business, you'll get business by tomorrow morning, start your own firm.
You took
Okay.
you created an opportunity out of a
Yeah.
tragedy.
Yeah.
That's great. We're at that part on our program where you get to tell everybody how to reach you. There are a bunch of reasons why you need to call this guy. One is he can help refresh your brand and open your eyes to opportunities that you may be missing. And the second is very engaging speaker with lots of great stories to tell. So tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Again, my name is Tom McManimon. My email address, my personal email address is tom@stimulusbrand.com. My telephone number is 609-457-0161. And please, if you like, have a visit to our website. It's www.stimulusbrand.com.
Tom McManimon, what a pleasure having you on CEO Chat.
Thank you, guys. It's been great.
Oh,
It
thank
was
you.
a lot of fun for
It's
us.
our
And
pleasure.
thanks all
Good
of
to
you
see
for
you, Tom.
joining us today on
Absolutely.
CEO Chat. Have a great weekend. This is Joe Assamendi.
And it's Alcini.
And for Tom McManimon, take care. We'll see you again next week.
See you next Friday, and please have a great weekend and be safe.
Thank you.